The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at SmashItDerby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at StirringDirtRacing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Some pretty realistic sound effects, weren't they?
Yeah, came in handy.
Did you catch that?
Came in handy.
The Harley that was parked out in the front parking lot just left as we were running through the intro. It's always a fun one. It's exciting. Episode number 288 on deck of the Crash Course. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We got Tim Clark joining us on the line. We're going to be catching up with Eddie Chick as well. It's been a busy little bit of time away. Brian's been busy with football. We've got youth soccer dominating the household at home right now. That comes on the heels of Alan's birthday and Labor Day. So we came out of summer break looking like we were going to be able to rip right through things and get back on schedule, and that needless to say did not happen.
Yeah, we've it's gotten pretty busy for both of us. You're getting to the age where the kids are getting busy with their sports, and both my boys are busy with football.
I saw your boy last night.
Which one?
Your oldest one.
Zach. Yeah, we're pretty busy. Most nights it's...
Actually, I saw you too. You stopped. I think you were playing on your phone in the driveway.
Oh, I was... Nick ran in to get some money from his mom.
At least the rust pattern on the quarter panel matched your truck.
It was me. Yeah, it was... it's getting busy, man. You guys are just getting into it. We're in the midst of it.
We can hear it. We did not move the studio to Chicago. It's still in Seneca Falls.
I bet you they're chasing that Harley just took off.
This is the most bizarre start that we've ever had.
At least we know they're not looking for us.
We assume not. No,
but
because we were at our post. But yeah, it's been busy, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Derby World has not slowed down. There's been they've been going wild all summer. Things are at a little bit of a lull right now. Locally, we got King's Old School coming up this weekend. Brett Rollier is putting on his show down in Hemlock. I talked to Brett last night. Unfortunately, my plan was to be running at King's Old School, but somehow we don't have any part-timers at work, so nobody's getting time off.
That's exciting.
So I had to swap a shift Saturday to get time off for Nick's first football game.
Right.
So instead of working 7 to 3, I'm working 3 to 11. So unfortunately, I won't be down there. I wish Brett and all those guys best of luck this weekend. Hope they have a full house. Always a great show down there.
I think Lake Erie rumbles this weekend too.
Yep.
Out in Dunkirk.
Yeah, I believe you're right. San Filippo's coming quick. There's Paradise Cleanup Show coming quick. It seems like there's just a little bit of a lull, but then we start thinking that there's not really a
Real Days is coming up too.
I guess there isn't really much of a lull.
No. Basically, we get a little bit of time off for. I think Allentown Fair is the only giant fair with our.
That was last week.
Labor Day. That was
Labor
Labor
Day.
Day
Brett
weekend.
went down and ran that.
Did he?
I hadn't talked to Brett forever, and I just called him last night to tell him I wouldn't be able to make it to the show, and I said, "Did you run a derby after Hartford?" And he said, he laughed. He said, "Yeah, I went down to Allentown." I said, "How was that?" And he goes, "Well, I didn't read the rules before I went," which sometimes that means Brett might be a little overbuilt for the rules. But apparently he got down there, and Brett was pretty underbuilt for the rules. But he ended up second down there to Mike Klinger. Mike
Klinger's won a lot of Allentown Fairs.
Yeah, that's a couple of heavy hitters, big winners battling out for that. Brett said he ended up breaking a slider drive shaft. So it was a pretty violent, pretty violent feature down there. But it's been crazy busy.
San Filippo coming up on October the 5th, and then that fall cleanup show is the week after that.
Cool.
It's going to be on October the 12th. A couple events left for Smash It Demolition Derbies. They've got Ashland County Fair this weekend in Ashland, Ohio, and then the fall cleanup show at the Fayette County Fairgrounds in Washington Corners, Ohio, Fayette County Fairgrounds. That's that fall cleanup show. And then 1 o'clock start time, September the 21st. Why is this not picking up any sound? This happened the other night, too. I don't know where there's just nothing coming out of the microphone. We were here for final round, and all of a sudden this microphone just them.
Just yell
so I
and
just
pick it up.
punched it a couple times, so we were good to
How do
go.
we-
Lake Erie Rumble is September the 21st. It starts at 1 o'clock. But
Cool.
we were talking a little bit about the action that was happening there for Smash It Demolition Derbies on LiveSmashItDerby.com. Tim Clark joining us on the hotline to talk a little bit about that. Been a busy summer for you, Tim, and it's still not over.
Yeah, it's been a busy summer, and it's been a great summer. I mean, there's been a lot of cars got tore up over the summer, that's for sure. And it's been busy, but it's on the down pace now. We got a couple fairs to go, and then it's into November. So,
Do you even remember
Been a
what
big
happened?
year.
I mean, do you even remember what happened when you look at what happened through the course of the summer? I mean, with the number of derbies that you're doing and a number of derbies that your staff is overseeing, does it all just kind of blend together? It's like all of a sudden it's June 15th and then it's Labor Day.
yeah, that's how it works, too. I mean, because it seems like it's one after the other for me. I mean, it's a pretty busy summer. All my friends always yell at me for not getting my cars out and going to a car show. And I'm like, dude, I'm busy at car shows times.
They're having some derby action at Lancaster Speedway in October.
Really?
Yeah, they're having that. It's their Crashorama thing. They're having.
They used to have it at Holland.
Yeah, this is sort of the same thing. They got all sorts of different stuff. They got a flagpole race scheduled. They've got a demolition derby, of course. They've got the roller
blacktop.
skate races and stuff. Yeah, the new owners were up here for a final round on Thursday. One of the owners, and we talked a little bit about that. It's pretty cool to see it. I think they did it last year too. But this is U.S. Open weekend for the Asphalt Modifieds at Lancaster. So Tuesday they had their test and tune with grudge races. Wednesday, tomorrow. Tonight is test and tune. Tomorrow's their cruise in. Thursday's a regular drag night. Then Friday and Saturday all weekend is all U.S. Open weekend.
Oh,
And then
that's
that'll pretty much wrap up their oval track stuff before they get ready to do that derby.
cool.
So yeah, there's another speedway derby to go to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's tempting. I haven't been in an asphalt derby in, man, probably close to 20 years.
Right?
Used to go down to Shangri-La all the time and watch them. They put on shows down there. Nothing better than Imperials and wagons on asphalt.
Yeah. Probably didn't last long.
You'd be surprised. They were on the gas, but man, those cars would would take it. It was impressive.
It's cool. Tim, when you look back on the season, did any of I want to get to the points thing in a second, but does any one particular fair stand out? I know that's probably a hard thing to do because all the fairs, that when they tune in and listen, they're going to say, well, you picked somebody else's fair over mine. But was there one that stands out or one or two that stand out?
Well, there's a couple stand out for me. I mean, probably the two biggest fairs I have is Darke County and Preble County.
Mm-hmm.
And they're over 200 cars a night. Preble runs 2 nights, and Darke only runs 1 night. But I mean, it's them two fairs when you can get 200 plus cars at a county fair these days. It's pretty big. I
it's very
mean,
impressive.
so. I would say they're about the 2 best fairs here in Ohio.
What makes Preble County a big deal? Didn't Preble County have 3 dates a couple years ago?
No, they've always had 2, the first night and the last night of the fair. A couple years ago they was doing 2 or 3 derbies, but, they probably could go back to 3, but I mean, it's just the people that over there, the class that we run, we have that windshield class, like a street stock class. I mean, that brings a lot of people out, and the area is really close to Indiana, so you got Indiana and Ohio people coming to both of them fairs, so they're really close to, they're like right on the borderline, so you get a lot more people at the county fair.
Does proximity to a population center have anything to do with attendance for the county fairs that you see that have high car counts or strong attendance?
To be honest with you, I really don't think so. I mean, people. I've been at some county fairs this summer that was very small county fairs and have 80 cars at them. So I don't think it depends where it's at. I just, if there's derby drivers still love derbies in that area, they're going to be there.
Tim, you guys have, I don't know, I think Russ told me once about half of the county fairs in Ohio. Have you guys ever considered putting on a state championship derby for Ohio?
Yeah, man, it's hard. I mean, we've talked about that before, where you do it at the end of the year or whatever like that. But, to be honest with you, because you'd have to get qualifiers and keep track of qualifying and stuff like that. I'd almost have to hire somebody full time just to keep track of everything like that, because
sounds like a job for
I've
Chris
been
Marquardt.
putting derbies on 4 or 5 nights a week in June and July.
Yeah.
You know, like I'd have a derby Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You know, I don't have time to keep track of the winners and all that stuff. That's what would be the hard thing to do, qualifying like a championship.
I'll call you.
I'd say a true championship would be, you'd have to say the winners of the county fairs.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that's how we used to do it.
Then you know.
I just asked. I was back in the day when we had ours. It was just kind of neat to see, and you'd see guys from all across the state, and I just didn't know if there was any possibility or if it was.
It would be great to do. I mean, it would be something really great to do, and it's just I could do it, but it's just a lot of work to keep track of everything. But I know what you're saying, to keep, then you'd truly know who the champion is of that day, I guess.
Yep.
It's
just always fun.
Happen.
So I'll call you about the whole keeping track of the stats thing after the show. But, if you think about it, you have all of 2019 to find your county fair winners. Then the season wraps up generally after the end of September. So you've got October through December to do all the planning for the one-and-done 80s chain-and-go style Ohio State Championship at Bash for Cash.
Sounds like a job for Chris Marquardt.
Oh, my God. Now,
see?
Dude, Chris, I was thinking you was on board with me, because it sounded like you was volunteer to keep track of it. But then now you're throwing the loop of the winner running the bash, is adding another class to the Bash for Cash when we have 40 classes now.
I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely.
It would be perfect. It would fit right in. I got a time slot right for that.
Yeah, 4 a.m. Saturday morning.
It's really funny you say that, because we was figuring out the Bash for Cash today, was kind of going over things, me and Russ, and we have it down for 9 heats on Friday. 8 heats on Friday, 9 heats on Saturday, and 9 heats on Sunday. So, and now you want to throw another heat in there.
Just one. I mean, just
great.
Think about what that would do to draw the locals around Ohio in that wouldn't otherwise compete in the Bash.
Right. That would be great if we could do it at another county fair.
I'm sure Ross County Fair.
That weekend at the Bash is already busy enough. So,
I mean, you had the Interstate Points Championship this year. How did that go as a whole?
It actually, we do like 4 county fairs over in the same area. We do like a I-75 along 75, a championship of all the county fairs, and it works out really well. I mean, it seems like you get more people at each county fair, running for the points. So,
sure.
I mean, it helps them fairs that's in that area a lot, because it'll bring 10 cars from the county next to it and the county before that, and so I think it helps. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't help the car count any at all, but here in Ohio, I'm not saying the car count is terrible. Car count here in Ohio, it's been county fairs from 50 cars and up. So, I mean,
that's pretty respectful.
I don't think that's bad right now.
No, definitely not.
No, I mean, that's total population. When you're running 3 or 4 classes, you're bringing a total of 50 vehicles, right?
Yeah, right. Well, you're running 3 classes. You're bringing in 50 to 100 cars. Like I said, some of the county fairs that I have as small as in the 50 to 60, 55, 60 car range, and
right.
Like I said, some of them's been 70 and 80. So people saying county fairs are down, but I don't think so. I mean, the car count's still there.
Yeah.
It's just maybe the different classes that people's building for. People ain't building the super modified stuff as much, but I mean, you're still getting them cars.
Yeah,
they're still around.
So, Sam, you mentioned that you and Russ were just talking about Bash for Cash today. Is there going to be any changes, or haven't you guys? Are you just in the planning stages now, and that'll come out later?
The only changes that we're going to do, we're going to change up, turn back the clock. We're going to go to one shot and done for $10,000, and we're going to turn Pro Stock into a heats and features, and because that filled up with that 40 cars within like a couple minutes. So we're going to do that heats and features. We're going to take 100 cars for that for $10,000 to win. So we're going to have like 4 classes is paying $10,000 to win at the bash.
That's pretty impressive.
So,
holy cow!
Some pretty major money.
Holy cow! That's nice. Wow.
So I mean, you know, I love the old cars. The turnback clock here in Ohio is not doing great on car count.
Yeah.
But if we could go one and done, and I think that would help that class, and Pro Stock I think is taking over that class, so moving that up to like heats and features.
When you go to a fair, any particular fair, like for example at the Ashland County Fair, we got the street stocks, 80s and newer Pro Stocks, the mini cars. Mini cars and compacts are the same, right? There's no difference between those two.
Yeah, right.
And then you've got the trucks, the youth class, and the Power Wheels. Who determines what the schedule is for that? I mean, do you guys make the call about just because you know the area, you know that Pro Mod cars aren't going to work one particular place and the Pro Stocks are going to be better a different place? Is that your call, or is that the fair's?
It's really how I set my fares up. It's my call. I mean, you know, I feel that I know that area, what works and what don't work, you know. So it's the classes I run it's up to me. You know, that's how I do it. I'm like, you know, so, and it works. It truly does. I mean, you know, so I think anyway. I mean, I always think if I'm not doing a good job for them, they can hire somebody else and change it up, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So, Tim, I heard a rumor and saw a picture that you jumped back in a car this summer and got another win.
Yeah, you know, I told myself I was going to quit demolition derbies, and I did because it's for me. It's a headache, really. I mean, I love the sport. I love demolition derbies. I love to run, but of course, throughout the summer, I make people mad. So they always hate, you know. And so I always say it ain't worth running the derby over. But I went back to a county fair this year that I ran a couple of years, and you know, there was like 4 or 5 buddies that worked for me. You know, actually, it was 4 of us guys that worked at Smash It, built cars, and went up there and ran.
Cool. Was it fun? Could you just? Was it nice to just go out and be a driver and relax and have fun again?
It was truly fun. It came down to us 4 guys, you know, and you know, I junked the car in the heat, and everybody else did too. So we had fun.
That's good.
I think it's really cool that they all shut off for the boss.
So, yeah, one of my announcers, you know, works for me is Gary, and he got 3rd, and man, he's like, man, that hit me that hard. I'm like, yeah. So,
nice.
But it was really fun.
Nose definitely shifted on that car. Did you see the pictures?
Oh, yeah. I saw the picture. Yeah, with him standing there. It looked like it was abused pretty good. That's cool. When you can, you know, step back and have a little fun.
That was like a windshield car where it had the stock 4.6 in it. You know, it was a pretty much stock car.
Yep.
You know.
But anymore, I mean, those are
gas tank and wired shut.
I mean, that's a fun, quick build right there.
It was also
it was quick. You know, it's fun and quick, and you know, if you got the right car, it seems like you're doing good.
Yep.
That picture was taken in a really nice shop too. I don't know if you noticed the background.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice shop.
Yeah, I built a new shop there, you know, so. But
so you got all your station wagons tucked away in there.
No, the station wagons are still in the other shop. I got the Cadillac wagon out today, and had my other buddy come out and detail it. Billy Eastep, one of my officials, is getting married this weekend, and he's going to have it in his wedding. So
that's cool.
I got it all cleaned up for him.
That's nice.
Very cool.
Congratulations, Billy Eastep.
Absolutely, that's
deal.
cool. Good job. Congratulations, Billy.
Did Billy
I
go
don't know if it's, yeah, I'd say congratulations. I mean, you know, getting that marriage stuff. No, it's good for some people. I'll just say that. It's, you know, but
absolutely, you got to find the right one. Then it's good.
Right.
In terms of that points thing, it sounded like you made the right call on the number of events. Some of those points were series. the rules get bouncing around to the different types of builds, and then they get too many events strung together in a row, and they see such a sharp drop-off once they hit the center of the season, and then they start figuring in, well, we're going to allow you so many drops, so you only have to make X amount of events, which sort of handcuffs you right out of the blocks because you know a particular number of cars aren't going to come to each one if they have too much travel. It just seems like it's this monster that could become a real hard thing to solve, but it sounds like with 4 events all linked right close together, you kind of caught some lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, I mean, when the team, the point system really worked when it's real close. I mean, when we first started about 20 years ago, we did a point system, and we only had 10 shows at the time, but I mean, we had shows from here to Cleveland, and you had like 2 of the guys driving for point system. Then you had people from the county fair saying that you was bringing people and all that. So there's good parts about point system, and there's bad parts.
Right.
Because the people from your area follows you, then people think they're your buddies. It can go 2 different ways, I guess.
I don't remember there's been opportunities and discussion, but I don't think there's ever been a point series around here, especially with the way things are layered up from Yates County, Seneca County, and Ontario County, Penn Waterloo, and Canandaigua, the way that those are all linked right tight together.
Yeah, I mean, it would. And the thing is, though, is unless you promote, in my humble opinion, unless it's the same promoter and the same inspectors, then I don't think you could have a fair and equal point system because not everybody looks at the same rule the same way. You know what I mean? And it just that's the one thing I've mentioned when we talked about it before is it would be so hard. I mean, I guess maybe if there was 3 different promoters, you could each put in 2 officials or something. But I mean, if you have a larger promoter like Tim, where you have shows together close that you can use, and you're using the same officials, then it just makes it that much better because we've said before, you're never going to make everybody happy, but when there's this guy inspected this guy and this guy inspected that guy, you would be hearing that. But with Tim and his crew, it's the same inspectors, the same everything, so it takes a lot of that away. I mean, I would like to see it; it would be neat, but I mean, I
almost think that the dates. Go ahead, Tim.
What I think needs to happen to do a major point system like that is like here in Ohio, in Indiana, and I'm sure New York is the same, and everywhere is the same. You're in a fair association, like I'm in, like us promoters. But it should be one set of rules for the whole state of Ohio, one set of rules for the whole state of Indiana, one set of rules for New York. And every promoter has to follow, run them rules.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, the inspector's going to inspect it different, but the car is going to be built to the same rule. I mean, he might be a little different, from one place to the other. What one guy will let you do, and what one guy, because everybody inspects the car different.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think that would help.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of the county fairs.
Unfortunately, not a lot of promoters want to coexist and work together. So it's tough.
It should be I've been preaching this to the Fair Association here in Ohio. It should be a law. If you join the Fair Association, this is how you have to do it.
It would make sense.
And, and then you have to you have to be a promoter to put a demolition derby on.
Yes.
Like you have to be in that association to even, like Bob couldn't put, you have to be a promotion company to do it. Then you have to run the same rules. Then they said, well, who picks the rules? I said, well, if you start it, say this first year, whatever, say get all the companies together, and how many fairs he gets is, say if he has 30 shows, he gets so much percentage of the rules.
Yep.
If that guy gets, because then it ain't favoritism.
Sure.
Like we're running my rules and my rules only. You combine them.
Yep. But derby drivers can still bitch because that's what they do.
As much as Tim had to deal with that I-75, and they were spread out too. They were close together, but they were spread out on the calendar, not geography.
Yeah,
there's time between them.
Yep.
You know, as fast as I talked myself into it, I talked myself back out of it because you've got 3 weeks in a row with those derbies that we just mentioned here, and you never get enough turnover. Wayne Ellison. He's one of the few that would be at all three. Wayne and Tim they'd probably, be some of the few that would be at all three, but there's not a large percentage of drivers that would make each of them.
And that's the thing. I mean, that's, you know, we've talked about the issues here, and, you know, unfortunately, there's just the Derby community isn't as there isn't as many guys traveling show to show as I would like to see for whatever reason. And I don't know, you know, what it is. I mean, I just, you know, I don't hit 5 shows a year because I just don't have the time or the money to do it anymore.
You also have no part-timers at work.
Right, that too. That really helps.
Right, but it's expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you run a lesser build class, I mean, you know, if you're running Tim's, you know, windshield class, I mean, you're probably going to be junking a car a show. I mean, that's, you know, that's going to be expensive. Yep. So I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, I mean, you and I think series. I mean, we think the Super Dirt series, and that isn't as glamorous as it once used to be. I mean, there's
more money in it now than it has been in the last several years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been multiple 10,000 win races this year.
And before there was never.
No.
Very few.
And it was lucky this year with the Mr. Dirt Track USA paid a pile of money, and then Orange County Fair Speedway on down in Middletown, they had that big money weekend to celebrate their centennial.
We'll go there.
And which, you know, that just happened to align the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like they were making a focused effort into doing that.
No.
And when you look at what the weekly races pay compared to what the touring races pay, there's more discussion to be had there. It's no different than the big national shows and the county fairs.
Yeah.
Sort of the same discussion happening for the circle track side of the series equation. You know, the one that's lasted the longest, at least in my awareness, is Candace's operation. Ultimate Derby had the long points championship, and they always recognize their points champions and their top 5 at Blizzard Bash at the end of the year. And now Domination Motorsports is carrying much of those same shows and continuing that points program. San Filippo is, I don't believe that's going to be part of the point structure that Spinning Wheels is talking about, but they're talking about putting together a point system for their county fair season next year.
Cool.
So that'd be kind of cool if that got up and off its feet, and that meets all the criteria that we've outlined here as we talk tonight. It's
same promoter,
same inspection crew, and the stuff in New York is spread out a little bit so that there's a little bit of time in between. So I mean, I think that there's some room for opportunity there.
That's neat. Yeah, I hadn't heard that. That would definitely be cool to see. But we mentioned it. So Tim, how are things looking for Blizzard Bash?
Dude, Blizzard Bash is looking great. I mean, you know, it's right around the corner, and everything's coming up together pretty good. I mean, there's a couple like classes that need 1 or 2 to fill up in stock. Like the trucks, I think there's one truck where a guy fell out again. You know, but everything is looking like it's full and going to be great.
You want to know something cool? We are 2 months from Championship Sunday right now.
Championship. Yeah, you are. Yes, you are.
2 months, Tim, from Championship Sunday right now, so it's 2 months from being over.
Yeah, that'll be like a one-night sleep to me. I mean, that'll be here before I know it, that's for sure. You know, so, but I can't wait. I think Blizzard Bash this year is going to be really great, and, you know, we up the payout and everything, so I think it's going to be good for the drivers and good for everybody.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. I was on looking, and there's some nice bump up in pays. They're guys are going to be coming away from that very happy this year, coming away from the pay window. So it's great to see. You know, we've mentioned before, Tim and Russ. You know, they step up for the drivers. So it's great to see that happening again.
That's for sure.
We're kind of throwing around some different things for Capital Carnage. So I mean, later on there'll be kind of something to talk about on Capital Carnage, but we ain't set in stone yet, so I don't want to say anything yet.
Is one of them a combine derby?
No combine derbies. We have that during the summer.
Man,
county fairs.
Listen, you were in Kansas, the middle of the Farm Belt. That would be an awesome show. Combine derbies.
Don't make me mute your microphone.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Well, I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
I got a couple guesses of what it might be.
Yeah, me too.
But and I'm pretty confident it never was remotely close. 0.0% chance it was a Combine Derby.
Yeah, probably not. But
Yeah, Combine Derby, I guarantee you that it ain't that.
Tim and Rush usually have pretty good ideas when they sit down and talk things out. So,
Oh my God, have they been keeping track? And is it going to be the Kansas State Championship?
probably not.
Wow, he didn't even respond. Like, not even a chuckle.
I thought he hung
Yeah,
up.
I don't think it'll be a championship, but that's all I'm going to say. It'll be a championship, all right. But,
Cool. We'll be looking forward to that. Anything else that we got to hit on before we let you go? I know turnout's been strong.
No, I mean, like I said, I got the county fair left, and my cleanup show then is full till Blizzard Bash, and I'm for sure we'll be talking again. So,
oh yeah,
for sure you're busy, guys, busy tonight. So I'm in good shape.
Perfect.
Alrighty.
Well, we're going to run through the rest of the schedule in a minute here and let everybody know what's going on with Smash It and with Blizzard Bash. But we appreciate you coming on, Tim, and we look forward to catching up with you here soon.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Tim, give Russ our best.
Okay, thanks.
See you guys.
See you now. There goes Tim Clark. A couple thoughts from him. So, as he alluded to, we've got the Smash It Demolition Derby schedule sitting out here. September the 21st is the Ashland County Fair in Ashland, Ohio. 5 o'clock start for that one. Street stock class, 80s newer pro stock class, the mini cars, trucks, youth class, and Power Wheels leading the way on that. That is the last county fair of the season, again, September the 21st. October 12th is the fall cleanup show at the Fayette County Fairgrounds in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. That's coming up with the full-size cleanup class, the compact cleanup class, any year pro stock class, the street stocks, mowers, and the Power Wheels on the order there. November the 7th starts Blizzard Bash, runs through the 10th. Blizzard Bash 2019 is at the Kansas Expo Center in Topeka, Kansas. Give you a rundown of what we're looking at there. The heat draws are scheduled for November the 6th. That starts at 7 o'clock. We'll have the pre-party show and all the vendors meet and greet happening down there before we get into qualifying night. First round of qualifying on the national and qualifying team bracket scheduled for the 7th of November. November the 8th is the second round of qualifying for the national and qualifying team brackets. November the 9th, the compact and limited weld teams take to the track for their first round of action. All the Team B features the trucks limited weld one and done on the schedule there. November the 10th is all the Team A mains. Remember that 2 teams winning the qualifying bracket move into the national draw for the following year, and the first 2 teams eliminated from the consolation rounds on the national bracket are out of the national draw and have to go back through and re-qualify. So not the easiest one to get into, and once you're in it, you really want to stay there.
Yeah, it's we've touched on that before, how hard guys. Well, we saw Steve Siopa a few years ago. He was in Todd's wagon, and man, did he fight to keep his team qualified, and he kept them in it.
Yes.
Broke everything there was in that car, but man, did he keep him in it. So
indeed he did.
Never disappointed when you go to Blizzard Bash. Always the best show of the year.
It's a fun time, that is for sure. A lot of work goes into putting the production side together. Candace always running around there like a maniac.
Yes, she is.
She's had a busy year. We'll be catching up with her here in the next couple of weeks to recap what happened with Domination Motorsports season. She'll be getting ready to head down to Topeka. Got another Topeka driver on the line right here. Eddie Chick joining us on the line. Eddie is now live and on the air. Eddie, man, how are you?
Fellas?
What's going on, Eddie?
Oh, nothing. Just working.
I talked to Eddie this morning. He goes, I think I can do it. I think I can come on the show, but I don't know what time you're talking about having me on. And we had to synchronize our watches a little bit and make sure he was going to be available. So I'm glad we were able to track you down, man. You, surprise, you won a points championship.
Yeah, I edged it out by a little bit of margin between me, Trey, and Rob.
That's a pretty tough competition right there.
We are. I wanted to quit, and I hung in there, and it paid off finally.
I understand that because you won the championship, Rob lost the bet and has to cut his mullet.
Hey, I'm growing mine out too.
That's terrific.
Mine's actually growing, so we got some hair for Blizzard Bash.
That is awesome. Chris, I think you ought to join that crew.
I used to have a ponytail back in the day anyway.
That was nice. Those are many days gone past, though, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Well, I had it up until about 2008,
2012, and then I got cut it off. And now it's been the longest right now since then.
Remember what happened when Kyle Petty cut his hair?
No.
Yeah, you guys will think I have a 69 Camaro in the parking lot.
There you go.
Can't wait to see that.
No, I edged them out. Luckily, I stayed ahead in the points all summer. And I ran out of car once, and I had to hurry up and get a car put together, a used one. So I kind of struggled because I really wasn't ready to run for points. I was just going to run a few shows and let it go. And then I won that first one. And then I led all summer up until the Macon show. And Rob and Trey edged ahead of me by like 10 points apiece. So it worked out. We all three got to be at the top.
Cool. Now, what class were you guys running? Like full weld or limited weld, or what style cars?
No, we were running what they call a stock around here.
Really?
Yep. We were allowed 6 plates, 3 on each side, and we could have a nice cage. That's about it. You could have a stuffed bumper. Pretty much stock. So my first couple of shows was a new learning experience again.
Why do you say that?
Well, I'm used to cars not bending at the firewall too much.
Right.
And I lost steering a couple of times. And then I finally figured out what I was doing wrong, and I fixed that.
Driving too hard.
I think, well, yeah, because I like to use the front.
Everybody does. That's the best way
Everybody
to go.
does, because it's, the older we get, we don't like turning around looking no place.
Nope, you're right.
And then, so I kind of got that figured out. Well, then I was running a motor that my dad had put together to put in a truck, and they never used it. So I bought it from him in 2017, and I run a show, and then I had it all sitting out here. Last year, we run all those domination shows.
Right.
We were gone a lot, so we didn't get to run around here. So this year was kind of great because we got to stay at home and run some shows here.
Cool.
How many times did you end up having to run for points?
What's that?
How many times did you end up having to run for points? How many events did you have to run?
Well, I run all the shows, because I run that one car 4 times. I kept pulling it down, and the frame rails were junk right there underneath the doors. And I kept pulling it down, and everybody's like, man, what's he keep doing to that car? I just kept pulling it down and driving it till it went up,
Yeah.
And they just couldn't believe it. And, it's like I say, I wasn't ready to run for the points because you should have a couple of cars ready for your drivetrain if you're going to do it that way. So I ended up running 8 shows out of 9. But Dad's motor gave up on me after 4 shows. I blew a head gasket. I chunked a piece off the piston. We threw it back together to run the next night. So we made a show, and then it lost oil pressure. So I had to build a fresh, we did a low budget 350. Jake Reed helped me out with that.
Wow.
And I run the last 3 or 4 shows with that new motor, and it was great.
So you went into the last event trailing Rob and Trey both. Was it a case where you just had to finish ahead of them in the feature?
I managed. Rob, unfortunately, he lost the wheel, the right front wheel, early on in the feature. A Mad Dog guy got his wheel. And then Trey, he was struggling right there at 4th.
Mm-hmm.
I had a broken tie rod myself, and I managed to finish 2 spots ahead of him, and I think that's the only way I edged them out. Because going into the feature, we all got an extra 20 points added to our points, but they were still 10 points ahead of me. So I think I got lucky, I guess I should say.
Better to be lucky than good, right?
Any day.
Yeah, better to be lucky than good. You're exactly right. So I think I didn't take the win that night. I was a little agitated. Now, if I would have just stopped, I was the only car moving. And if I would have just stopped and took a breath, I would have done things different. But I went down. Corey Ludington was stuck, and I went down and hit him and actually knocked him loose, and then I buried myself.
That's not good.
I couldn't hardly move back and forth. So I ended up with second. Corey took the win.
I mean, where you're at running this, it seems like you guys would have seen most of the guys that we see from Missouri and Topeka on a fairly regular basis, right?
Some of them, yeah. Some of them were there. Most of them that, like we all run there. Corey run a couple of shows. Teddy run one show. Teddy actually rode with me in 2 shows.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so that was fun. Me and Ted got to run some shows, him riding, which it's just great getting our group together, kind of.
With all the time that you spent with him in the passenger seat, he didn't teach you not to knock stuck cars free?
Well, no, I guess he didn't, because I wasn't paying attention to his sign language he was trying to give me, so it's probably my fault because I wasn't watching what he was telling me.
So you had a good summer. Have we pulled the car in the shop yet for Blizzard Bash, or are we waiting on that?
No, I took a back seat this year.
Really?
Yeah. The more I thought about it, the more I wanted to take the year off, and I called Dials and them, and Dials, we talked about it, and he said, well, I'm glad you decided, because I gave him, this was the end of July is when I decided to take the year off.
Wow.
Some stuff came up, so unfortunately I can't enter in it, so I'm just going to come out and watch.
That's cool.
So I am going to be there hanging out with them, Rob and the no-namers. They got a good replacement for me, so hopefully they do well.
Cool.
Who's taking over?
Tim Sonnenberg.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I don't know if I'm saying that right. He run a bunch of DI shows back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Him and Riggs and them were actually rivals. Blake Neely and that group.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Cool. So, like I said, I'm glad they got him kind of at the last minute, you could say.
Now, when we talked to you back in, I think it was back in maybe March, or even before that, you said that you were going to back things down, and now it sounds like you ran a full summer schedule. That's a pretty busy summer. Was that? I mean, it's one of those things where you see the points, how they're falling, and everything, and it makes it a lot harder to stay away because now all you got to do is sustain at this point. We've seen that happen at local tracks a lot of times. All of a sudden, a home track because somebody's home track just because they did well in a couple of the opening races before their other home track started running. Mm-hmm. So, is this a sign of things to come, or are you going to take the year off? And is this going to lead from Blizzard Bash? Is this going to lead to a much reduced schedule in 2020, or is this just sort of a regrouping phase so that you can get ready for another busy summer in 2020?
You win the first couple of shows and then you're stuck to it because you're leading. So you got to it makes you want to go.
Sure.
Just like I told my son, he didn't want to do his homework. And I said, son, I don't want to do stuff. I don't want to go to work, but I got to go to work. It makes you a better person.
Right.
Do your homework. Get your homework done. Trust me, you'll be a better guy. And for me, it was a busy summer. I kind of want to just run a few shows and let it go, but when you stay at the top there for most of the summer, it kind of keeps you going. I may try to come back and run Blizzard Bash with the no-namers if they need me. If they don't, I may come back and do a singles. like I used to do.
Right. We've seen you do well doing that as well.
Absolutely.
Well, well, then again, it's better to be lucky than good, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
No, so I just kind of just had some stuff that I wanted to take care of, and hopefully I get all that straightened out and I can come back. Mods, I did get to run that. I ran that Cadillac that I run at Blizzard Bash, and then I brought it to Carnage. I did get to run that thing one more time, so it's ran 5 heats.
The front's still straight.
No, it's coming up. It did come up. Me and Mason Larson went at it at Bowling Green, Missouri. He ended up taking third. I took second. Corey Ludington, he edged us out on first. But Mason's both them guys are tough. So I was pretty fortunate to take a second place there with that Cadillac.
You know, these guys are, I mean, they're like another hotbed of Derbian. I mean, the names that you hear tossed around, I mean, there's no easy shows out there. I mean, there's...
Sounds like Corey had a pretty good summer, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I wasn't...
Yeah. Honestly, I think we all did.
Yeah,
Right.
sounds it.
There's probably we went to that last show. There was probably 9 of us that knew each other.
Yeah.
And then they had their little bunch up there, which they kicked my butt in July. I went up there. A couple of guys went with me. They had trouble. I had an old rival friend get on me. And we danced for quite a while. I had the Mad Dog 1 in the heat race because I floored it and I had him running sideways, and it was a great time.
Right.
But we went into that last show. We actually brought some cars with us. We made it a little bit harder on them. It come down to all of us that knew each other. The top 6 were all buddies.
Best way to do it.
So that means a lot. 6 to 7 cars were all friends.
That's what you start telling all your
And
friends to
then,
shut
you know,
off.
they had to get on to us. Of course, we're all competitive and we're all trying to win. We want to win. We want to take the win. So
Yep.
we're going to bag around there as much as we can.
Sometimes you gotta bag to win, man.
Yeah, I have my bags packed. How you guys been? How's your all summer been? I've noticed your son's lifting weights.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good for himself. He
Seemed like he was.
yeah, he's doing well. We Chris and I were
Awesome.
just talking. We both his kids and my kids are busy with school sports and
Yeah.
just traveling and been busy.
So did you get very many derbies in?
I went to a few this summer.
You went to more than I did.
Yeah, I did. But with my work schedule is kind of crazy. Chris's work schedule is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So I went to a few. I didn't make my hometown primarily because it was 100 degrees. So I sat home in the air conditioning and watched it on YouTube or on Facebook
Yeah.
Live. That was nice. I made it to a couple.
That's good. You got to go to a couple.
Yeah. It's always fun to get out there. And I went to the Imps versus the World show. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I bet that was. Them imps are pretty nasty, ain't they?
Yeah, they those guys did a hell of a job building. That was a hard hitting heat.
So was it a full weld build, like an outlaw build, or was it a...
No, hang on, let me
outlaw
answer this.
tier.
Let me answer this for you. It's in New York, Eddie.
Okay, so it's kind of a stock build then.
Well, I mean, there was a couple guys that had leafed Vicks. You know, and they were.
Six, okay. Yeah, those are pretty good. Jason said when he went to Utah, Danny Ogden built him a car, and it had leaves under it.
Yeah, they was.
And they told him not to go backwards.
Yeah.
And he ended up going backwards, and he said he did better going backwards than he did forward.
I was very impressed with all the builds down there. A couple guys had problems early, but the officials have done a nice job. They got the rules, fair for both builds for the
Right.
Imperials and for the other cars.
There was a lot of group Facebook messages that went around, and the guys that were building different cars were actually pretty honest about what they were building, and it allowed them to construct the rule book basically for each individual car and what they were doing, so that the strong points weren't the dominating strong points, and the weak points weren't the terminal weak points. So it had a really nice balance to it.
Yeah, it was great to see. I mean, that heat has been the best heat that I've seen this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it would rival, something we saw at Capital City Carnage. They said go, and they were after it. It was a one and done. So they didn't have to save anything.
They didn't screw around, did they?
No, it was a great show. Unfortunately, it wasn't a full 20-car heat like they'd hoped. But again,
Right.
that gave them more running room on the track. But good builders, good drivers. It was neat to see. Hopefully, they do something like that again next year. I've seen some other guys talking online about interested in running it. So hopefully, they do it again. But yeah, we got out, saw a little bit, and
I don't think I've been.
Well, hopefully, if you get a good driver, you put that good driver in any car.
yep.
And I've learned this year. I can drive. I can bag. I can drive hard. I don't like it when I drive hard because stuff gets broke.
Yeah.
My stuff and theirs, because
Yep.
one guy smokes me too hard, and if I got anything left, I'm going to use the rest of it on him.
Absolutely.
But I've learned, I learned, and I got a pretty good setup now. I think I have a really reliable setup. It didn't cost me a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It was only about $1,000 for the engine
That's not bad
that I
at all.
built, the new engine. And then I run the same 400 turbo, got a deep pan, stock 400 turbo at that.
Wow.
I run the same transmission all year. I think the trainer's got 9 or 10 derbies on it since I've owned it. I don't know the other people I got it from. I don't know how many shows they ran with it, but they had the lines looped when they had it.
Nice.
I actually have a nice cooler.
That's how I run mine.
Some of my buddies were breaking trannies. I let it sit on the cross member and let it float. And I almost hit the dash bar with the tranny a couple times. That's how high the front was.
That's impressive.
I was still driving it with the front. The front was up, and the distributor was actually up above the dash bar.
Nice.
So
At
I
least
run
you
an
did it.
NLR, one of those aluminum or billet
Yep.
cap, the cap deal.
Yep.
And it was up above the dash bar. I'm like, whew, that's nice.
Yeah.
So I did that a couple of times with the distributor and never knocked it off. It's all how you set your motor in there.
Yeah, it is.
Don't want to scoot it back too far.
I mean,
So it was kind of a learning experience.
you said this was a stock build, and the next words out of your mouth was plates.
Pretty much a stock, yeah.
So- So, did you have tranny braces or engine protectors or anything? None of that stuff?
We were allowed a lower cradle, and I have a homemade one on mine.
Right.
We were allowed the lower cradle with no pulley protector. So I run a chamberless motor mount, which has got the nylon bushings.
Right.
It lets it move around. You don't break your ears off your block. You're not reinforcing the frame with it. A lot of people, you got a lower cradle. That's beefing up the frame. If they watched all my cars all summer, they know it ain't beefing up the frame. So I like to run the 9802 stuff. I don't like box frames. A lot of people like the box frame on the box Fords, but I like the 9802 stuff just for the gussets.
Yep.
Me too. That's what I
Like it
prefer.
make
what
the last
broccoli
a
looks.
little bit longer, I guess. You only got so many hits with the front anyway, so we did it. We were allowed to. We couldn't cut the tabs, like they do, so we could bend it. We could cold bend it, is how I say it.
Yep.
Right.
We could cold bend it down, and that gives you a few more hits because it's straighter.
Sure.
Yeah.
but they're always going to go flying up. So, I did get to watch one guy, a Cadillac. He's one of our buddies that's got a Cadillac, and that thing junked the front of a Vic with one hit with the back end.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was wild.
Wait a
He
second.
went flying by me, and that dude just sat there after he got done. He was going backwards with the Cadillac.
Now, hang on. Was that Kenny
The
Rosno?
nasty ass end. It just rolled up. It folded up right. It's compacting in there good. It's just really, really good. Even mine's kind of trashed, but this one here was really hard. I was pretty surprised.
What Cadillac was it?
It was like a 75.
Oh. See, I was envisioning something newer than that.
Yeah, we were allowed. You're allowed a mix in this guy's shows.
Right.
You can run old irons and new.
You know what? You're surprised by the Cadillac, but so far, knock on wood, the Cadillacs I've ran, the backs have folded up decent, and they're actually when you get them into that back window, they're actually kind of tough back there. Like
They are.
I don't drive.
'Cause I was taking some licks with mine from Mason, and mind you, mine run 3 heats at Blizzard Bash.
Yeah.
Right.
The back was rolled in perfect on it. The frame rails were going up, and they rolled in, and the bumper broke off of it like it was supposed to on that third round at Blizzard Bash.
Yep.
And they rolled in, and I didn't have to do much to it to bring it to carnage.
Yep.
I put a little piece of 2x3 on top for a little bumper,
Yep.
and that's kind of all I did to it. Now, when I brought it home from carnage, I did have to cut some metal away, but that's all I did.
Yeah, that's all we had to do to ours.
take it. Yeah, to run it at Bowling Green. So
you're telling me that when he said Cadillac, you didn't automatically go to like a
No, I was-
77, 78
Yeah,
metric?
I was thinking the same thing you
Yeah,
were, and then
okay.
he said 75.
yeah,
but
well, sorry about that. I should have said we were allowed old and new. And
no,
then,
that's fine.
No, it's not your fault. I just
Yeah,
my mind immediately went to like one of those metric caddies. We saw some.
Yeah, I was surprised. I run the first show, and there was a Roadmaster, Buick Roadmaster there,
Right.
and there was another box Chevy or whatever.
Right.
And these two guys, when I pulled in, they were automatically saying I was the guy they was going to have to beat. So we got out there, and I was trying to, it's my first stock show for a while, so I'm trying to drive like I got some sense, right? So I make a couple of hits, and they stole 2 hits on my wheels, my front tires.
Yep.
So guess what I did?
It was on.
I turned it on then. I'm like, I'm not going to give them no more shots.
Right.
And it was a battle between me and that Buick Roadmaster at the end, and I ended up taking the win over it.
Yes, and we've
We were hitting head on, and I was hitting him in the back end. He was hitting me in the back end, trying to get our metal on our tires. And his back end was rolled up pretty good, and so was mine. But it was a good battle, and we all got out, and shook hands and stuff. And there was a couple of guys trying to run their hits, and I get out, and I went up that one guy, and I was like, "You got a problem?" Because he kept running his door in front of me, and he's steaming, and I couldn't hardly see him. And I did hit his door a couple times, or half and half, or however. But I see him pull up, and I'm trying to go for his fender, and I did bump his door a little bit, nothing major. But everybody was cool about it. But the metric cars, they are harder than I thought.
Yeah, they're getting tough. They're guys are
Yeah, I
getting them
took
figured
the
out.
9802, and I ended up beating them. My front was up pretty good, and they were up pretty good. One of the second guy that was on me, his car ended up getting junked. It was pretty junky. We hit about 3 or 4 times head on, and then he hit a couple other people, and then there he sat.
Right.
But so you kind of learn some stuff.
Always learning. Always learning. Figure new stuff out for.
I just turned 53, so I'm still learning.
Still a youngster.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a young lad still. So it does get tiring. I spent a lot of time in my shop this summer with mixing what junk I had to take just to go get some points.
Right.
Yipper.
You know, you show up, you may only get 20 points, but guess what? That's 20 more points you didn't have.
Right.
Yipper.
Well, that's the way that it's structured, and 9-10 events is a lot.
Yeah, it is.
That's a busy summer when you pack it in, you know, over
Yeah,
the course
so
of
I
2 months or
think
so.
I ran with Carnage and Bowling Green. I did 10 shows.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit.
That's
a lot.
That's a lot.
9 or 10 to be exact. So that's quite a bit for me when I was only running like 2 or 3, and then coming to Blizzard Bash, or maybe not even running hardly none.
Right.
Now, last summer was eventful for us. We run a whole bunch of Candace's shows, and then this summer I run a bunch of shows at home, and I could see how much money I was spending out on the road.
Yeah, it gets expensive.
You know, $500-600 versus $200.
That's a nice profit to stay home.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah. It's
The things we do for what we love to do.
Absolutely.
very true.
I'm not ready to retire. I did want to take a step back, and if they need me next year and I can do it, I'll be glad to go back and be a no-namers.
That's what I like to hear.
Well, if
It
nothing
was
else,
really hard for me to quit because I won that first round. You know, that made me feel good because I won the first round.
Absolutely.
It was just a rough decision for me to have to back out.
well, you know, it's never easy to do that with something that you love, but hopefully everything straightens itself out, and nonetheless, either way, you know, we'll see you in a couple weeks when we get out there to Topeka.
Both of you coming?
I'm going to be there this year.
Coming with you?
I'm going to be there this year, and then we're going to regroup again for March.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay, so you're the only ones coming out this year?
Yeah, I used up all of my vacation for weddings and football, so.
Well, you got to do that. That's just something you got to do.
Yipper, part of life.
Yes.
Too many weddings.
Too wasted.
I'll catch up with you, Chris, at Blizzard Bash then.
Yep, we look forward to seeing you then, and hopefully you'll bring your trophy along so you can brag it up some.
I don't know if I'll bring that. It's a pretty good size. I think it's as tall as I am, so.
That's awesome.
Good deal.
So that's pretty neat. So.
Awesome. Eddie, man,
you probably guys done got tired of listening to me talk anyway.
we're at the top of the hour. I can't believe it went by so fast.
Yeah, it went
We've
by quick.
We've been off the air we inadvertently were off the air the week of Labor Day, and we're just getting back into the swing of things.
I thought I probably did miss some shows because I've been working in my shop a lot, and I was wondering if something got messed up and I wasn't seeing it. But when you posted all that today, I saw it,
Right.
and sometimes I don't check my phone a lot when I'm getting loaded and stuff, because as soon as I open Facebook and start looking at it, I'm loaded, so I can't.
Right.
I don't want to go down the road looking at it and run over somebody.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, that's probably a wise decision. No, we took a little
All right,
bit.
well, it's good talking to you guys. Thanks for having me on. I hope it didn't sound like a tool or nothing.
Nah, not
Never,
at all.
Eddie. You're one of our favorites.
I appreciate that.
For sure.
I try anyway. I try to get along with everyone, and I think it's working.
Absolutely.
All right, well, you guys take care of yourselves and stay out of trouble.
We sure will, Eddie. We'll talk to you
later,
soon.
Eddie.
All right, guys. Thanks again.
See you now. There goes Eddie Chick. Eddie Chick ending the interview for us.
He's always in a good mood.
Riot.
I love Eddie.
Oh,
Good dude.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
whole crew's full fun guys.
Yeah, that's a good group, man. Take away that points championship meant a lot to him. And like we talked earlier, he said he was going to back it down, not going to run a whole lot this year. Then that obviously changed.
And I mean that's a tough crew. I mean, he mentioned. I mean, he runs with Rob and Trey, but he had to beat them out to win the title, and he did. And then Rob Ludington was there, and he's a hell of a driver.
Corey
I mean,
Ludington sounds like he had a pretty good summer too. Teddy Papadopoulos was out there a couple times, so. Look forward to seeing all those guys when we get down to Topeka for Blizzard Bash in November. That is, as we said, it's right around the corner, and it's probably got a bigger circle on the calendar for Tim than it does us.
2 months.
I think we covered all of our bases tonight. 288. I wrapped it up like we said. We were off a couple weeks in August there just for summer plans, and then Labor Day we ended with Alan's birthday, Labor Day plans. Kelsey had her first practice on Labor Day.
Yeah.
for soccer, and then with Alan's birthday and back to school and everything, it's like, you know what, this isn't going to work.
Well, I didn't
not
hear anything
happening.
from before Labor Day, so I figured we were having a show. So
I had all sorts of grand plans that we were going to do something Wednesday or try and shoehorn something in, and it did not come to pass.
So we're going back to Monday next week then?
Well, I guess that's a good question. What's your schedule?
I can work around it.
Are you back to free on Mondays? 'Cause we can get back to
I
the
can be
regular-
free on Mondays.
Do you want to be free on Mondays, or is Tuesday better?
It's the same day, same thing either way.
Okay.
So we'll probably go back to Mondays.
Yeah. Be nice.
That's what people know us.
Yep. Because then we can get out of here just in time for kickoff.
We can. or I can get out of here just in time to go pick my kid up because he's practicing until 8 o'clock. So. Either way.
288 in the books. We are now 12 weeks away from episode number 100, or number 300. So that's kind of cool. Looking forward to that.
300.
Yep.
Who'd ever thought?
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of time sitting in front of this dopey camera.
Yeah. Yes. And we've said it enough, or we've said it before, but thank you for everybody that supports us and tunes in every week and listens to us on the pay-per-views and the live streams and everything. And
If there was nobody out there listening, we wouldn't be anywhere close to this.
Truth.
So certainly owe it all to our supporters, that's for sure.
absolutely.
I think that's a good note to end it on. That's going to do it for episode number 288 here at the North Park Building at Academy Square. We appreciate everybody tuning in each and every week. Subscribe to Finger Lakes One's page so that you can get the updates. Follow us on the Facebook page. Like us. Send us a message. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Happy birthday to Josh Buell. He had a birthday while we were off as well. That's going to do it for us here. We appreciate it greatly. As always, thank you, and we'll see you next time. The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.